Okay, this is a big one. I'm out for 3 days. I've got about 50 kilometers to cover on really tough terrain, taking in 7 peaks that I need to summit. I'm doing it all just on belt kit and with a Polish Lavvu poncho. Got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm just going to get straight to it. Well, as usual, I'm not making this easy for myself. It's the rut in Scotland, so all the deer are out and roaring. It's mating season. It's also traditionally the stalking season in Scotland. So I bought a couple of venison steaks, and if I want them, I need to complete a deer stalk, which means getting close enough to get a good shot with the camera at a distance that I'd be happy taking a rifle shot. If I can do that, steak for dinner. I've brought enough food to survive. It's certainly not the amount of calories that I'll be burning. So I'm going to try and supplement with fish along the way. This landscape is peppered with hilltop lochans, some of which have fish, some of which don't, and some of which nobody knows. So if time allows, I'll be trying to catch a couple of fish, because that's a good source of fat and protein. I'm completely off track for this walk. I've just planned a rough route in my mind, a big loop, but there's no footpaths, no nothing. I'm just route finding as I go. So I'm expecting difficult ground. There's definitely be peat bogs and river crossings. I've already had to take a detour further down this burn. It just turns into a complete chasm, so I've had to come quite far upstream to get across it. Hopefully that hasn't added too long on. It was Storm Amy last week, so we've had over a week solid of rain, a lot of rain, and the ground's actually absolutely saturated. So it's going to be interesting finding a dry spot to camp tonight. The other problem that presents is I've brought my twig stove and trying to do this whole trip just burning what I can find. The issue is that everything's saturated. I was hoping that I could do the 3 days just burning heather in the twig stove, but it's all absolutely drenched. It's a sit rep. I'm about 7 kilometers in, soaked through to the bone. The bottom half soaked from just the wet grass and heather and bracken and the splashing because everywhere's sodden, which has just wicked up my trousers and down into my boots. My top half soaked through with sweat because it's actually quite humid with the mist, and when the sun comes out it's really warm, and you know, I'm carrying quite a bit. The good news is I've got a good shot of a stag, so I can have my steak tonight. It also means I can start moving a little bit faster, which I need to do because I've had an absolute shambles of a start to this trip. I've wandered off course. I was using the sun to navigate because my compass was in the bag and I couldn't be bothered digging it out. And when the mist descended, couldn't really see the sun, just the bright half of the sky, and then the bearing that I'd taken off 2 mountains disappeared when the mist came down as well. So I should have got the compass out, but I thought it was going the right way. So I've done a little bit extra, probably a K or two. So I'm behind with that. You may have noticed that there's a backpack attached to my webbing. So it's not technically just belt kit, but the backpack is 100% just camera equipment. I've got 2 cameras and audio stuff, battery banks and all of that gubbins. And just that wouldn't fit in the belt kit on its own. But I wouldn't have any of that stuff if I wasn't filming this, so you can watch it. So I just thought I'd get that out the way early. It's like, oh, he's not on belt kit. I am. Everything that I'm using for this is on my belt, except obviously the poncho that's on my back. There's a lot of firsts on this trip. This is my first multi-day on the webbing set, which will be interested to see how it goes. It's also my first time using the Polish Lavvus, the Plaszpalakas, completely as intended. And not only is it my shelter, but it's also my sole piece of waterproof clothing. So I'm relying on it to keep me dry at night, and I'm relying on it to keep me and my equipment dry in the day when it rains. I've camped countless times with the Lavvu, but I've never relied on it right through the days as well. So that's a new one. It's also my first multi-day hike on a extremely low carb diet, and it made packing for the trip quite interesting. Usually for something like this, you know, you just bung a load of noodles and rice or whatever in your pack and off you go. But you know, I can't even bring bread, so it was quite interesting, and I've kind of just had to wing it, and I've got no idea how it's going to do energy level wise. Oh, just coming up to a loch here, and there's fish jumping. Oh, this is really annoying. Like I say, I've bought enough food to just about get by, but it'd be nice to have some fish as well. And there's loads of activity in there, but I've had too much messing around this morning, and I'm not far enough along. I don't have time to stop, especially so soon after stopping for food. I should have thought of that and stopped there for food and had a spinner in the water while it was while I was eating. Oh, I think I'm going to get wet feet here. Let's see. Bang. Dinner. Well, that's something I've never had happen before. I was just filming those hinds, and I packed up and spotted the stag on the skyline. So I got the camera back out and opened it up again, and then he came right for me. I think because it's misty and I've got this on, I probably don't look like a human, And you know, like I didn't wash yesterday because like you don't want to be smelling of scents and things like that if you want to get close to them. Usually if they'd see you were a person, they'd scarper to the hills, doesn't matter. But I think because I was sneaking up and then I looked like this, I got real close, and then in the mist, I think he must have just mistook me for a rival, and he came right for me, and that's exactly the moment that I realised that that camera isn't a rifle. And I was like, don't fancy fending this thing off with a knife. So I scarpered pretty quick. He only followed me for sort of 50 yards. I think once he seen I was going the other way, maybe realised I was a person. I had my stick up in the air and everything. But in all my years doing this, I've never once had that happen. Well, got away anyway. But what that means is I'm not going up the first mountain because he's sitting right where I need to go to get up it. So I'm just gonna have to not. It'll give me a chance to catch up on a bit of distance, but it means I've climbed all the way up here for nothing. So I'm gonna go the long way back round as well to avoid him because he was an angry boy. I've had to give up on the idea of doing hills for now, as this mist is making it really difficult to navigate into route find, and also I could get to the top of a hill and I'd be able to see absolutely nothing, which kind of makes it pointless. Not doing the hills actually makes the route a little bit longer, but I should be able to cover the ground faster, which, considering how behind I am, is definitely a good thing. This is a good tip if you're ever navigating in mist. It's lifted just a bit now, but what I've been doing is using the grass when the mist's down and you can't see the sun. So if you're somewhere where you know where your prevailing wind comes from, then what you'll usually find is in most of the landscape, including the grass, you'll have this shape where it comes up and then drops off quickly. I know that here on the west coast of Scotland, and especially high up, the prevailing winds are from the west, and you can see absolutely everywhere all the grass is pointing one way, which will be east, roughly enough to get a bearing from. So I'm heading southeast at the moment, so I know if I can keep looking at the grass, I can stay on my bearing and find where I'm going, which is really handy when you can't see any of the peaks to navigate from, because there's not really anything else in this barren landscape. This is a good tip. I'm having an unplanned break. I've done about 15k as the crow flies. God knows what that is actual, because the amount of zigzagging I'm having to do through the bogs and through the peat hags is crazy. I must be doing 1.5 kilometres for every straight line k. I was worried this had happened, but I've started cramping up. One of the issues with low carb diets is that even though I feel loads better in general, my salt intake's gone right down. So I've got some salt, but I'm not just drinking it in water, so I'm gonna warm some water up and stick a tin of mackerel in it and just bang a load of salt in that and get that into me. So I'm gonna test out the twig stove using the heather. I'm gonna start it off with a bit of the pine that I got earlier and see if this is going to work. It's not actually the best area here for the dead stuff, so a lot of this is green, but it'll give me an idea as to whether or not it's going to work. Better make the most of it and have a coffee while I'm here. Haven't had a warm drink yet today. Oh yeah. Well, I can safely say that I've earned that steak today. 'Cause out with a rifle, could have had about 7 stags. They're absolutely everywhere today. Been walking again for about 20 minutes and cramps haven't come back yet, so hopefully that rest, salt and hydration has sorted that out. It's about 3 in the afternoon now, and I'm on the last leg. I'm not sure how far it is. It's about another 4 or 5k to where I plan to stay for the night, which is a loch that I know there's fish in. Hard ground, navigating these peat hags. You've got to be really, really on it, or you just end up in dead ends, stuck between a rock and a wet place. Now, this is what I mean. From eye level as you're walking along, it doesn't look like much just yet. Walk through there, no problem. And then as you get closer, big drops into these labyrinths of peat, and some of the stuff at the bottom is really, really, really soft and deep. And if you try and just navigate in the bottoms of them, yeah, it's pointless. And very easy to just go over your boots, and it's real sticky in the bottoms of those. You can really get lost in the quagmire. So even though I want to go that way, I'm having to go that way just to get around all of this. And you've really got to be careful, because you break an ankle in the bottom of one of them and they'll never find you, dig you up in a couple of 1,000 years. Does make for an interesting landscape though, if slightly frustrating. And the stags are having a right royal rumble out there. Don't you just hate it when you can see where you're heading? And camping just at the end of that loch that you can see down there. Still a fair way away. I've been able to see it for ages and it just doesn't seem to be getting any closer. I can't head straight for it either. I've got to do the roundabout route to not end up in a bog. But everywhere I go there's stags. Unbelievable. Oh, camp's in sight. I should have made the challenge that I need to stalk into 10 stags to get my steak. Still would have been easy. It's unbelievable. I've stopped getting my camera out. Just walked into a bunch of about 20 then. Oh, nearly there. Always makes me a little bit melancholy walking through this landscape. It's beautiful, but makes me a little bit sad. You'll be walking through the peat where the hags are exposed, and it's all been washed away, and you'll just see they look like bones, like skeletons sticking out of the mud. I suppose they are skeletons in a way, and what they are is memories of what the land once was. They're basically petrified tree stumps, and it's a reminder that all of this was once forest. I've covered, I know, over 20k today, and apart from the planted forestry block that I walked through this morning and the regeneration that was just outside of it, I've seen one tree hanging out of a rock high up where the deer can't get it, and it's just a little bit sad because of how and why it happened. And some of it was the climate shifting a little bit, but that wasn't enough to kill an entire land of forests. It was mostly people. We've been, as a species, burning and building with timber for millennia, but not enough to completely deforest an entire country. Now, most of it was deforestation for the timber that got used for building boats for wars, and then people obviously realised that timber was worth money. And once the timber came down and there was grazing land, all the lairds decided that the Highlands would be much better if it was full of sheep instead of people, because the sheep were paying more and apparently raised less grievances with them. So all of the Highlanders got kicked off the land by a very few greedy bar stewards so they could fill the land with sheep, and that didn't allow any saplings or seedlings to take hold. So the bogs expanded, and it kind of just snowballed from there. And once all the land was clear, most of Scotland got bought up, all passed down between a very few very rich people. And because of the right to roam, we've still got access to it, to most of it, which is great. And you know, a lot of the land is absolutely fine, but the issue is that although there's not as many sheep now, I don't think they pay what they did. Most of the big estates primarily used for stalking, which means you've got an artificially high number of deer on an already barren landscape that just, again, overgraze, don't allow anything to take hold, so natural regeneration just can't happen. And if you want it to, you need to spend hundreds of thousands on deer fencing and stuff. The rewilding movement is really got the work cut out for them. And I know people come to Scotland, oh, it's beautiful, and it is beautiful in like a desolate way, but if you look around with a critical eye and a knowledge of what was, what I see is a desert, and an artificial desert at that. It's not how it should be. You know, people have a tendency to think, you know, like 100 years is a long time, so they go, oh, Scotland's always been like this. It hasn't. And I hate to say it shouldn't be, but I wish it wasn't. Because if I was out today and this was the land that it was 1,000 years ago, Wouldn't need half the stuff that I've brought with me. Could have a nice fire tonight. Build a shelter. And it's not just that. Again, in the land that I've covered today, and I've had my eye out because I like filming any wildlife. Apart from deer, which I've seen a lot of, I'm looking right at one now too. Apart from that, I've seen a frog, 2 grouse and a snipe. And it's only insects after that. And it doesn't get much better in summer. There's nothing to forage. You see some mushrooms, but they're mostly dung round caps. There's just no diversity at all. You know, I'm wandering through looking for stuff to film, and there's only so many shots of heather you can take. You know, I've got heather, I've got some acid grass, there's the odd patch of bracken, and the odd wildflower tomentils and stuff. And that's it. It's easy to navigate, which is good, but again, it's just a desert. At least the deer like it. Anyway, I'm just having a moan because I'm tired and my legs are aching, so I'm having a moan, although it is all true. Okay, I'm gonna call this home. It's rocky down here, which is gonna make it a bit of a pain for the pegs, but it means that the ground isn't holding water like everywhere else. It's honestly the driest spot I've seen all day. So I'm just gonna ping my shelter up and then run around and try and get enough dry heather just in case this rain gets any worse, but I'll put the Lavvu up just to keep my gear dry. Looks good. Oh, I'm gonna have to stop the camera getting wet. I was hoping this rain would go off, but it doesn't seem to be, and it might get worse. So I'm gonna cook my dinner, and I've just got a venison steak, and I bought venison burgers as well, so I'm gonna have one of them. I think I've earned it today. So I've just been and collected a load of heather. It's quite time consuming getting the heather, finding the dead stuff, but it does seem to burn all right, and it is everywhere. Just actually going out and getting it and getting enough to actually have a fire would be a nightmare, 'cause it just burns so quick. But right, get this on anyway. Oh yeah, that's going all right. Oh yeah. Burger's got a bit flattened so it barely fits. I can see that going really badly wrong, but we'll see. Might end up being a plate of mince. Oh, we might be all right. Just run and get some water to put on. Wrong way. Ooh, hey. Oh my days. Oh, slightly overdone, but that's still delicious. Time for a burger. Oh yeah. Oh, that's delicious. So my bedroll is just my German Army poncho, the Bundeswehr rubberized one, and inside of that is my down sleeping blanket duvet, which is a bit of a risk bringing a down one, but it's really light and this kit's heavy enough as it is, and really it shouldn't matter if it's down. You should just be able to keep your kit dry, and hopefully I don't eat those words. Tea, heal me. Oh, the sight of steam and the smell of ginger when you've been cold, wet and hungry is pretty unbeatable. I'm trying to decide whether or not I prefer it to a fire right now. I think the brew's more important. I am missing having a fire though. Well, I'm absolutely goosed, so I'm just going to get to bed. It's drizzling hard and misty. Everything's getting a bit damp, so I'm just going to get rolled up in my bedroll. But day one done. Looking forward to tomorrow. Well, good morning. So I had a good think last night about what my priorities are for the rest of the trip. Yesterday was a bit of a mixed bag. A lot of it was outside of my control, but you know, things like the cameras going down and the tripod breaking. And the weather didn't half slow me down as well. But also that's the most amount of weight by a long way that I've ever put in the 58 pattern webbing. And it took me pretty much all day to dial it in, so it was comfortable. My shoulders are really sore this morning because I spent most of the day with far too much of the weight not on my hips. I think I got it pretty good by the end of the day, but I should have sorted it out early. I was just rushing trying to cover the distance. I had a look at the map and I've got a couple. I'm going to change the route a little bit and skirt around the hills, because I think it's going to be another misty day and it's pointless going to the top of them. You wouldn't even know if you were at the top. So I'm going to skirt around the hills and take in a few extra lochs and bits that just look interesting on the map. Oh, there's a fish going for that then, bugger. I'm already later than anticipated just because it was raining this morning. But I'm just going to take the opportunity to let my kit dry a bit. Oh, there we go. Gotcha. Come on. Here we go. Not too bad, but I don't fancy carrying him about all day. If he was a bit bigger, I'd fillet him, but we'll put him back and try for another one. See if there's anything bigger in here. Honestly shocks me that some of you think you can eat that lure. There you go. Doesn't look like I'm going to get anything big anyway, so I think I'll call that it for here and try some of the other lochs en route. Back to it. My shoulders and my hips are feeling it from yesterday. There was a lot of jumping up and down on stuff, and the webbing straps have been digging right in. I didn't have them set up very well. And my feet are soaking and freezing. But that's just always the way on the multi-days. You soon get warm when you're moving. I'll be sweating soon. This is a good one to spot. This is one of the stumps that I was talking about, sticking out of the peat. Real old stump, but you can see it's been really roughed up and all of the peat around it's really disturbed. And what it is because it's the rutting season, all the stags come up onto the high ground and they want to make themselves look really mean because they're going to go for fights. And what they do is they come and they rub their antlers in the peat and it stains them. They're usually just completely white, but it stains them all black and they get it all over themselves, and it just makes them look big and angry. And then I imagine this probably gets used as well come spring when they shed the antlers. They get really itchy on the head and they tend to knock them against stuff. You'll often see fence posts and trees with bad damage at sort of antler height, and that's what it is. It's them just trying to knock them out of their head. But there's quite a few of these around here, but I haven't seen one with the stump sticking out. It's quite a good one, that. Feels like I'm trying to get to Mordor walking through these bogs. Everywhere you look, it's just water. Keep expecting to see faces looking back up at me. Stop for a wee snack just next to this wee lochan. Can't see there being anything big in here, but there's definitely fish. I'm gonna chuck a spinner in anyway, because you never know. Oh, didn't even know you were on there. Hello. Absolutely diddy. I have a feeling they're all going to be like that in here. I'm not even going to bother anymore. On you go. Well, the mist and drizzle came back with a vengeance. Had to go back to compass navigating, and had to take a couple of detours. Been making really good progress. Absolutely nailed it food wise. Energy's been consistent, and I was really getting into a good bit of flow. Now I've got the kit dialed in, getting some miles behind me, but the mist dropped, and there's a couple of bits where, you know, a river's just a blue line on a map and they don't show you the 50-foot sheer drops on either side. So we've had to do some pretty big detours, but I've come up the hill and I'm just trying to stay at this height because I know the lochs at this height, but I'm looking like I might be screwed. I think I'm going to have to drop back down and climb back up again. Been a lot of uphill today. I can't believe that. I was just sat having a snack and I stood up and went to put all my kit on, and as I did, I was sat there and there was a white-tailed eagle and it must have been, what's that, 15 feet away from me the whole time I was having a snack, and it only flew off when I stood up and did that. So I got a shot of it, hopefully. I just dumped my stuff and dived to get the camera and got the camera on quick, but I don't know if I was quick enough to get anything good. But my God, it was right there. Incredible. That was a proper good one. Okay, over this rise should be, oh yes. Home for the night. Well, this spot looks nice. It's extremely wet though. A lot wetter than where I camped yesterday, but I've walked around half of this loch now and can't really find anything any drier. So it might just have to be here. Same deal as yesterday. I'm just gonna whack my Lavvu up and then run around and try and find some wood. There's some peat hags nearby that might have some old bog pine in them that I'll get if I can. If not, do heather again. At least that's going well. Well, day 2 done, and I am knackered. I was really glad that I saw that eagle earlier, because it just gave me that little boost that I needed, because I was flagging. I think I covered about 17k today, something like that. I'll have to check when I get back properly. Although I'm not actually sure exactly where I've been, because I had to take a couple of little detours, but I'm saying about 17k, but it was really hard terrain, so it wasn't as far as yesterday, but there was a lot of ups and downs and a lot of cross contouring, walking, you know, sideways across really steep slopes, and it's just really sapping. So I was very happy to see that eagle. I've had my dinner. I didn't film it because I was getting hangry, and I've purposefully not set my bed up yet because I figured if I did, I'd probably just lie down on it and not get back up. So I've come out to do some fishing, give this a go with the last of the light, and then I've got a couple of bits I want to do after dark as well, and then I'll set my bed up. I've got a bigger day tomorrow, to get round and back, but I don't have to set up camp at the end of it. I'll just be able to get in my van and go to bed. So I've left a bigger day and I'm not that worried about it. And it should be a good day as well, because there's a big chunk that I've wanted to see for a while, which should be beautiful. Hopefully the weather's a little bit better. It started drizzling again and I'm absolutely knackered anyway, so I'm just going to go to bed. So I'll bid you good night and ready for a big day tomorrow. Well, good morning. It's about 6:30 and it's still really dark. Slept not brilliantly, but not the worst I've had. The ground that I've picked, I chose the drier ground over the more level ground. So I've got a couple of lumps of bumps and I'm on a slight sideways angle. I'm just gonna wait until it gets a little bit lighter and then get up and make a coffee. I'm trying to delay putting wet socks and boots on for as long as possible, so I might as well wait until it's actually light enough to see and then get on. Big day today. Time for a coffee. This has been a good learning experience with the twig stove, knowing that I can come out somewhere with no trees in the wet, and as long as I've got a handful of dry stuff I can easily burn the heather and whatever else I can find. That's been really good to know. I bought a new fire steel recently and it came with this little gubbins, and I'm really not sure what I think of it. It's got a little bit of waxed rope that you push through and fluff up the ends of. This would be a good test for it, my fingers are soaking wet. And once you've got the ends fluffed, you put your fire steel in there and give it a strike. And it's supposed to catch super easy. But at this stage, that just feels like a lighter and it's heavier than one. So I'm not sure what I think of it and whether it's just a gimmick or not. But I brought it out just to see how it did because I knew I was going to get wet. Quite sad that it's the last day. Just getting into a bit of a groove. Getting used to this particular setup and the quick ways to go about getting it up and down and what its strengths and weaknesses are and how much ground I should be expecting to cover and stuff. Sad to be going home. Have to come out for longer next time. Need to make a few modifications to this kit and not bring enough stuff, as much stuff as well. You can always tell when the deer have been scrapping because there's teeth all over the floor. Well, this is as light as my webbing set's been. This is almost comfortable. I'm really damp and my feet haven't warmed up yet, even though I did a big uphill slog to get up onto the tops, just because it looked like it was going to be easier going. And there's quite a bit of up and down in between the little peaks, but the ground is only wet, not soaking. It makes it a little bit easier going. It's a little bit rockier as well. I'm on the downhill stretch now. Everything's flattening out a little bit after this, I think. I hope. It's actually been really good ground. I've covered loads of ground. I don't know what I've done already, but it's got to be getting on for 10k. But technical issues abound. But at least the ground's been really good, and I can actually see the finish line, I think, which is nice. Well, today's been perfect so far. The temperature's absolutely spot on, perfect for hiking. Even going uphill, I'm not sweating like the previous days, so I'm not having to top up with water all the time. The mist, well, the clouds have gone a lot higher, so you can actually see where you're going. In fact, I can see the finish line. Well, I could see the finish line a minute ago. So navigation's way easier and route finding's way easier. And you can even see some mountains, which is good. It's great for spotting the deer as well. I'm making extremely good progress. I've done more than half of what I need to today to get back. The ground's been good and my energy levels have been really good. Seem to be getting better and better every day. Doesn't hurt that the pack gets lighter, but I think I just really nailed it with the food that I brought. All the high fats and proteins have kept me full. I haven't felt hungry at all for any of it. And I'm actually taking food back when I thought I was going to be really struggling calorie wise, but I'm full of beans today. Can't beat it. I've had so much fun so far. It's been a challenge, definitely, but it's been a really good learning experience as well. And it's great to see this area more, to see so much of the wildlife as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. And I will definitely be doing something like this again. Well, if you made it this far with me, well done. And I'd really appreciate a subscribe and a like of the video. Helps me know what people like so I can do more of it. I've been plagued with technical issues again. One of my cameras is completely packed up and the repair that I did on the tripod has broken again. I knew it wouldn't hold. I didn't really have the right stuff for doing it. But it's made it this far, which isn't too bad, but it's making filming an absolute nightmare. As I said, I've made pretty good progress so far. I've covered quite a lot of ground, but doing the filming's absolutely killing it. And I do need to get back at some point today. So I'm going to sign off here, and thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.